The small shuttle hummed quietly as it descended toward Veridia's green and blue surface. Dr. Elias Corin gripped the armrest, his eyes scanning the alien world through the reinforced glass. Even from orbit, the planet looked alive, with shimmering forests that stretched like a carpet across the valleys and rivers that sparkled silver in the sunlight. Humans had only recently reached this sector of the galaxy, and Veridia was one of the first habitable planets that didn't immediately show signs of dangerous life. Or at least, not life that was obviously dangerous. Elias had been sent as an ambassador, though the word felt strange to him. Most of the time he was a scientist, studying stars, planets, and the creatures that inhabited them. But here, the stakes were higher. This mission was about first contact, and first contact had a way of going badly if one misread a signal. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility. If humans wanted to live peacefully in this galaxy, they had to learn how to communicate with species very different from themselves. The landing pad was nestled in a valley of tall, luminescent trees. Their leaves glowed faintly, shifting colors as though responding to the shuttle's approach. As the ramp lowered, Elias' boots made a soft sound on the smooth surface. The air smelled different from Earth, sharp, clean, with a hint of sweetness that made him want to take a deep breath and never leave. From the edge of the forest, a small figure emerged. At first, Elias thought it was a child. The creature was no taller than a human teenager, with translucent skin that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Its large, expressive eyes reflected curiosity and something else, timidness, maybe even nervousness. The alien's movements were careful, almost hesitant, like it didn't quite know if it should come closer. Elias held up a hand in greeting. "Hello," he said. The word sounded strange in the alien valley, but he hoped it would at least indicate goodwill. The small figure paused, tilting its head. Its eyes widened and it made a soft, musical sound. Elias could not understand it, but it carried warmth. The alien stepped closer, holding something small in its hands. It was a plant with long, curling leaves and tiny glowing buds at the tips. Elias recognized it as a local species, probably rare, and carefully took it from the alien's hands. "Thank you," he said. "That's very kind." The alien blinked, then looked down at its feet, shuffling slightly. There was something gentle in its posture, almost painfully shy. Elias realized that this was not just curiosity, it was careful observation. The creature was studying him, trying to figure out what kind of being he was. He decided to return the effort. He smiled softly, lowered his gaze to its level and tried to convey patience. "My name is Elias Corin," he said. "I am human. I come in peace." The alien's ears, or what looked like ears, twitched. Its large eyes flicked up and down, taking him in. Then it spoke in a language he did not understand. The words were soft and melodious, rising and falling like a gentle song. Elias shook his head. "I'm sorry," he said. "I don't understand, but I want to learn." The creature made another soft sound and backed up slightly. Elias noticed that it seemed embarrassed, almost as if it had done something wrong by approaching him. There was a hesitation, a pause, before it stepped forward again. This time it extended its hand, and in the palm was another object, smaller, more delicate. He looked closely. It was a small, crystalline structure, shaped like a tiny flower. The glow was subtle but beautiful, and the alien's hands shook slightly as it offered it. Elias knelt to get closer to its level. "Is this a gift?" he asked. The alien's eyes widened again, and it nodded slightly. Then, before he could respond, it suddenly darted back behind a tree, peeking around the trunk like it was afraid he would scold it. Elias blinked. He had dealt with shy humans before, but shy aliens were a new challenge. He decided to take a careful approach. "You don't need to hide," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you. I want to understand." There was a long pause. The alien seemed to think over his words. Its large eyes shifted from his face to the crystal flower and back again. Then it slowly stepped forward, placing the crystal flower on the ground between them. It backed away slightly, keeping its hands close to its body, still looking nervous. Elias knelt lower, examining the crystal. It wasn't like any plant he had ever seen. It seemed alive, but not in the usual biological sense. It vibrated faintly, like it was resonating with some energy he couldn't detect. He glanced at the alien, whose large eyes were locked on him, full of anticipation and anxiety. "You're trying to tell me something, aren't you?" he asked gently. The alien's eyes flicked downward. It made another musical sound, soft and hesitant. Elias realized that the alien had no words it could use to communicate in a way he could understand. It was trying, in the only way it knew how, to make a connection. He smiled. "It's okay. You don't have to be afraid. I will learn your language if you teach me." The alien blinked and tilted its head, curiosity slowly replacing fear. It took a cautious step forward and touched the crystal flower again, this time letting its fingers linger. Elias watched, fascinated. Every movement seemed deliberate, full of meaning, though he could not yet understand what that meaning was. Hours passed. The sun shifted, and the alien never strayed far from the small crystal it had brought. It showed Elias other objects, small gifts from the forest, each one accompanied by soft musical sounds and subtle gestures. Elias began to understand a few patterns. A tilt of the head seemed to indicate interest. A lowering of the gaze suggested embarrassment. And when the alien placed something directly in front of him, it was offering a token of trust. Elias noted all of this carefully, recording the alien's behavior. He realized that this was a crucial first step, not just in understanding the species, but in showing them that humans could be patient, gentle, and trustworthy. He began to reciprocate in small ways, offering gestures and tokens that could communicate goodwill. Sometimes he drew simple shapes in the dirt. Sometimes he touched a leaf and handed it back. Slowly, the alien's body language began to relax. By the end of the day, Elias felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. The alien, whose name he did not yet know, had not fled or acted aggressively. In fact, it seemed curious in a way that was almost human. Elias could feel the beginnings of trust forming between them, a bond that could become vital if humans were to coexist peacefully on Viridia. As the alien finally allowed itself to sit closer, resting its delicate hands on the crystal flower, Elias felt a surge of excitement. He had no idea what the next day would bring, but he knew one thing. The alien had something it wanted to communicate, something deeply important, and it was brave enough to try, even if it was embarrassed. And that, Elias thought, was a sign that perhaps humanity could learn as much from them as they could learn from humans. Night fell, and the twin moons of Viridia rose in the sky, casting a soft silver light across the valley. The alien's eyes reflected that light, wide and unblinking, filled with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and hope. Elias settled beside the crystal flower, speaking softly, as if the alien could understand every word. "I don't know your name yet," he said, "but I promise we will figure this out together. We will learn each other's ways, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other in ways neither of us can imagine." The alien made a soft sound in response, curling slightly toward him, though still cautious. Elias smiled and leaned back, watching the forest glow in the moonlight. Tomorrow would be another day of learning, another day of small victories. But for now he felt a quiet triumph. The first bridge had been built. It was fragile, yes, and the alien was still shy, still embarrassed, still cautious. But it was there. It was trying. And that was enough for Elias to believe that humanity, with its patience, curiosity, and compassion, could truly make a difference, even in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. The next morning, the valley glowed with soft golden light as the sun rose above the luminescent trees. Dr. Elias Corin stretched his arms, feeling the crisp Viridian air fill his lungs. The night had been quiet, and when he looked at the crystal flower, it still hummed faintly, as if holding onto the energy of the previous day. He smiled, knowing that the small alien was nearby. Sure enough, from the edge of the forest, the creature emerged. Its movements were more confident than yesterday, though it still kept its distance. Elias noticed the same wide eyes and delicate, trembling hands, but there was also a curiosity that seemed to burn more brightly. Today, the alien did not hide behind the trees but came closer, tilting its head as if greeting him. Elias knelt to appear less threatening. "Good morning," he said softly. "Did you sleep well?" The alien responded with a gentle sound, almost like a trill, and took a small step closer. In its hands was another gift, a handful of shimmering seeds. They glowed faintly in the morning light, pulsing like tiny stars. Elias carefully took them and examined them. They were unlike anything he had seen on Earth, delicate and strangely alive, vibrating slightly as though holding a memory of the forest itself. "They're beautiful," he said. "Thank you." The alien made a small noise, which Elias guessed was a sort of pleased acknowledgement. Then it placed the remaining seeds on the ground in a circle. Elias studied the arrangement. It seemed deliberate, almost like a message. He crouched down and drew a circle around the seeds with his finger, mimicking the alien's gesture. The creature's eyes widened, and it let out a series of soft trills that sounded like laughter. Elias laughed too. "I think we're starting to understand each other," he said. "Maybe." Over the next few hours, Elias observed and responded to the alien's gestures. He realized that each movement, each sound, carried meaning. The tilting of the head indicated curiosity or a question. A lowering of the gaze suggested hesitation or embarrassment. Placing an object directly in front of him seemed to be a token of trust. He carefully mirrored these gestures, offering small objects of his own, smooth stones, small plants, and drawings in the dirt. The alien's shyness began to fade in small ways. It inched closer with each passing hour, showing a mix of nervousness and excitement. Elias could see its thoughts working quickly, as though it was learning how to bridge the enormous gap between their species. And yet, there was something more. The alien seemed to want to do more than just communicate. Its eyes lingered on him in ways that suggested it had intentions it could not yet put into words. By midday, Elias decided to explore the nearby forest. He motioned for the alien to follow, and after a moment of hesitation, it did. Together, they walked among the glowing trees, the air filled with the soft hum of strange insects and distant calls of unseen creatures. Elias moved slowly, careful not to startle the alien. Every now and then it stopped to examine a plant or stone, offering it to him with a small, shy trill. He accepted each gift with care, showing that he valued them. As they walked, Elias noticed something unusual. The alien was leaving small marks on the ground. Tiny scratches, almost like symbols, arranged in patterns. He knelt down to study them, recognizing that these were a form of primitive writing or communication. Each mark seemed to correspond to an object it had given him, almost like a record of their interaction. "You're very clever," Elias said softly. The alien tilted its head, blinking slowly. It made a musical sound that Elias interpreted as a shy laugh. They reached a clearing where the sunlight poured in, warming the soft moss underfoot. The alien paused, then placed the crystal flower at the center of the clearing. It stepped back, watching Elias intently. He knelt beside the flower, feeling a strange energy emanating from it. It pulsed gently, as if alive, and Elias realized it might be some kind of communication device or emotional amplifier, something that could help the alien convey feelings beyond words. "You're showing me something important," Elias said. "I think this is part of your way of bonding." He hesitated at the word, not wanting to misinterpret the alien's intentions. The creature's ears twitched, and it stepped slightly closer as if seeking reassurance. Elias held out his hand, palm open. The alien studied it for a moment, then placed one delicate finger in his hand. It was a simple gesture, but it carried weight. Elias felt the small tremble of its touch, the nervous energy of someone trying to express something difficult. He squeezed gently, careful not to startle it. For a long moment they simply held hands, standing quietly in the clearing. The alien's body relaxed, and Elias could see the subtle signs of trust, the slow blinking, the slight movement of its ears, the soft trill that escaped its lips. It was shy, yes, but it was also brave. Brave enough to reach across an impossible gap and connect with a human being. After a while, the alien withdrew its hand and picked up a small stick. It drew a circle around the crystal flower, then added tiny marks inside the circle. Elias examined the symbols, realizing that it was trying to explain something, a ritual or custom that humans could not yet understand. He nodded slowly, showing that he was paying attention. The alien seemed satisfied and made another musical trill. Elias spent the rest of the day learning from the alien's gestures and symbols. He drew patterns in the dirt, using shapes and lines to mirror its marks. The alien would study them, then adjust its own symbols, gradually creating a shared language of gestures and drawings. By evening, Elias could understand simple concepts: greetings, curiosity, trust, and something deeper, a desire to form a bond, a connection beyond words. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the clearing, Elias realized that the alien had not once shown fear. It had been cautious, yes, and embarrassed at times, but never hostile. Its shyness was a barrier, but not a wall. With patience and care, he could reach it. He sat down beside the crystal flower, exhausted but exhilarated. The alien curled up nearby, keeping its distance but no longer hiding. Its eyes reflected the last rays of sunlight, wide and shimmering with emotions Elias could only begin to understand. Elias spoke softly, though he doubted the alien understood his words. "You're teaching me something important," he said. "Not just your language, but your trust, and I promise I will honor it." The alien tilted its head, making a sound that could have been laughter or a question. Elias smiled and held his hand out again. Slowly, cautiously, the alien touched it once more, just the tip of a finger. Night fell over the valley and the twin moons rose, casting silver light over the trees. The alien seemed restless, yet peaceful, moving occasionally to touch the crystal flower or inspect the drawings Elias had left. He watched it silently, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges and new discoveries. He thought about the vastness of the galaxy and how fragile yet powerful these connections could be. One shy alien, one human, and a few small gestures could build a bridge between species that might otherwise never understand each other. Humanity had learned to communicate, to survive, to explore, and now, perhaps, to connect. Elias finally lay back, letting his gaze drift to the stars. He could feel the faint hum of the crystal flower, a subtle vibration that seemed to respond to the presence of life and trust. The alien curled closer to it, eyes half closed, as if drawing comfort from its energy. Tomorrow, he knew, would be a test. He would have to understand more, to respond to the alien's gestures more accurately, and perhaps to face challenges neither of them could anticipate. But tonight there was quiet triumph. The shy alien had made the first moves. It had shown trust, and Elias had shown patience. He closed his eyes, letting the soft glow of Viridia's bioluminescent trees and the twin moons wash over him. In the stillness of the valley, he could feel something remarkable taking root. A bond not just of curiosity, but of mutual respect, understanding, and perhaps friendship that could last a lifetime. The next day, the valley was quiet except for the soft hum of the crystal flower and the gentle rustle of the Viridian trees. Dr. Elias Corin awoke early, eager to continue his lessons in understanding the shy alien. He knew that each day brought them closer, not just in communication, but in trust and understanding. The alien's shyness was still present, but yesterday's small victories suggested that something important was stirring beneath its careful, timid exterior. As Elias stepped outside, the alien appeared almost immediately from the edge of the forest. It held its hands close to its chest, hesitating as it approached. Its eyes were wide and focused on Elias, filled with a mixture of curiosity and worry. Today, it seemed the alien wanted to do more than just observe. It wanted to teach, or perhaps to show something it had struggled to express before. Elias knelt, smiling gently. "Good morning. Are you ready to explore again?" The alien tilted its head, letting out a soft trill. Then it placed a small object on the ground between them, a smooth, flat stone engraved with symbols that glowed faintly under the sun. Elias picked it up carefully, studying the carvings. They looked like the marks the alien had made in the dirt yesterday, but more intricate, deliberate, and clearly intended to communicate something meaningful. "These are messages?" he asked softly. The alien nodded, blinking slowly. Its ears twitched nervously as it watched him. Elias realized that the alien was trying to convey complex ideas, but the language of gestures, sounds, and symbols was still limited. He had to use his imagination, patience, and careful observation to understand. He began drawing symbols in the dirt, mirroring the ones on the stone, trying to create a simple back and forth. Hours passed in this careful dance of communication. Elias was patient, encouraging, and fully present. The alien grew more confident with each exchange, slowly inching closer, occasionally reaching out to touch his hand or the object he held. There was an underlying tension in its behavior, a nervous energy that suggested it wanted to convey something deeply personal but was afraid to fully reveal it. Elias had begun to sense what it was. Yesterday, the alien had shown him gestures of trust. Today, those gestures were evolving, more deliberate and infused with emotion. It was as if the alien wanted to form a connection that went beyond simple communication. He paused to study its behavior carefully. Every glance, every hesitation, every soft trill carried weight. He realized that the alien had a ritual, a custom of bonding that was deeply important to its species. The shy gestures, the gifts, and the careful attention to detail were all part of this ritual. But the alien's embarrassment was holding it back, making it unsure how to initiate fully. Elias decided to guide it gently. He knelt beside the crystal flower and drew a circle around it in the dirt, just as the alien had done yesterday. Then he added small symbols to represent trust, friendship, and shared understanding. The alien watched closely, its large eyes following every movement. It blinked, tilted its head, and let out a soft trill that Elias interpreted as approval. Encouraged, Elias carefully extended his hand again. This time, he added a small gesture, a slow, deliberate touch to the ground, then to the crystal flower, signaling that he understood the ritual's meaning. The alien's body stiffened for a moment, as if startled by his understanding, then it stepped closer, inch by inch. By midday, they had formed a simple rhythm of communication. The alien would place a symbol or object, Elias would respond with a mirrored gesture, and gradually, they began to exchange more complex ideas. Elias noted patterns. Certain shapes or placements indicated trust, others indicated curiosity, and still others seemed to represent intention, the desire to bond more deeply. The alien's shyness remained, but it was slowly giving way to courage. Its gestures became more confident, its eyes brighter, and its movements more deliberate. Elias realized that the alien was testing him, gauging whether he could truly understand and respect its culture. At one point, the alien stopped abruptly, holding out a small crystal shard that pulsed with faint light. Elias picked it up carefully, studying it. The shard seemed to resonate with the crystal flower, vibrating gently in his hand. He understood immediately. The alien wanted him to recognize the connection between the objects and the ritual. It was an invitation, a challenge to bridge the final gap of understanding. Elias knelt beside the alien, placing the shard carefully near the crystal flower. Then he mimicked the alien's gestures, creating the same circle of symbols in the dirt and adding mirrored marks of trust and shared intent. The alien watched intently, its ears flicking nervously. Slowly, it extended a delicate finger and touched the shard. The vibration intensified as if responding to the alien's contact. Elias smiled. "I see it now," he said softly. "You're asking me to bond, to connect fully. I understand." The alien froze as though surprised by his words. Its ears twitched, its eyes widened, and for a moment Elias thought it might retreat. Then cautiously, it stepped closer and placed both hands near his. He mirrored the gesture, letting his hands hover gently above its delicate ones, careful not to startle it. They remained like this for a long moment, communicating without words. Elias felt the faint hum of energy between the crystal flower and the shard, and the alien seemed to sense it too. Its shyness did not vanish entirely, but its nervous energy transformed into something stronger: trust, courage, and an unspoken connection. Suddenly, a rustle came from the trees. Elias turned his head, tense, expecting perhaps a wild animal or another alien of unknown intentions. Instead, a group of smaller creatures emerged, Viridian wildlife, curious but harmless. The alien jumped back slightly, startled, and Elias quickly moved to shield it. The creatures sniffed the air and then moved on, leaving the clearing quiet again. The interruption, brief as it was, reminded Elias how fragile trust could be. The alien had shown courage in reaching out to him, but the outside world still posed dangers. He spoke softly, reassuring it. "It's okay. You're safe here with me. Nothing will harm you." The alien's eyes met his, wide and trusting. Slowly, it reached forward, letting its hands hover over the crystal flower again. Elias mirrored the gesture, and together they completed the circle of symbols, connecting shard and flower in a shared energy that hummed faintly under their touch. By late afternoon, the ritual was nearly complete. The alien's shyness had faded enough that it moved confidently around the circle, demonstrating the steps of its bonding custom. Elias followed carefully, mimicking every movement. He realized that this ritual was not just cultural, it was a form of communication, a way for the alien to share emotions and intentions that words could never convey. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley, Elias felt a surge of pride and admiration. The alien had shown bravery, curiosity, and trust, and humanity's patience and empathy had made this connection possible. He could feel the beginnings of something extraordinary, a bond that transcended species, a bridge built on understanding and courage. The alien paused, resting its hands on the crystal flower, and made a soft trill that seemed like relief. Elias knelt beside it, speaking gently. "We did it," he said. "We understand each other. You trusted me and I honored it. That's how we build something real together." The alien blinked slowly, then touched his hand again, confirming the connection. Elias smiled, realizing that this small, shy creature had taught him one of the most important lessons of his life. Patience, empathy, and respect could bridge even the widest gaps in the galaxy. Night fell over the valley and the twin moons rose, bathing the clearing in silver light. The alien curled slightly near the crystal flower, no longer hiding, its eyes half closed in calm contentment. Elias sat beside it, feeling a quiet triumph. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, he knew. The alien's rituals were complex, and misunderstandings could still arise. But for tonight, there was peace, trust, and the first real bond between human and Viridian. Humanity had proven, once again, that curiosity, patience, and understanding could conquer even the unknown. As he gazed at the stars, Elias thought about the vast possibilities ahead. This alien, shy yet courageous, had shown him the importance of connection. And he knew that together, they could face whatever challenges awaited in the galaxy. In the quiet of the valley, A soft hum vibrated from the crystal flower, and the alien let out one last trill before closing its eyes. Elias leaned back, breathing deeply, and felt an overwhelming sense of hope. The bond was formed. Communication had been achieved, and this was only the beginning. The next morning, the valley glowed softly under the light of Viridia's twin suns. Doctor. Elias Corin woke early, feeling a sense of anticipation. Yesterday had been remarkable, but today promised something different. There was a tension in the air, subtle but unmistakable. The wind carried faint vibrations that Elias could sense in the soles of his boots, and even the crystal flower seemed to hum more urgently than before. The alien emerged from the edge of the forest, moving with a careful alertness. Its eyes, wide and bright, darted toward the horizon as though it had detected something unusual. Elias noticed the shift immediately. "Something's wrong," he murmured. The alien tilted its head, ears flicking nervously, and let out a series of sharp trills. He didn't understand the words, but the urgency was clear. Together, they moved toward the clearing near the crystal flower. The alien gestured frantically, pointing toward the sky and then to the forest. Elias followed its gaze and froze. A massive shadow stretched across the valley. Something huge was moving in the distance. At first he thought it might be a large Viridian creature, but the shape was too regular, too fast, and it shimmered strangely in the sunlight. Elias' mind raced. "That's an asteroid," he said aloud, even as doubt nagged at him. He quickly retrieved his portable instruments from his pack. The readings confirmed his suspicion. A massive asteroid, several kilometers wide, was on a collision course with Viridia. The valley where he and the alien had been spending their days, and countless other habitats across the planet, would be in immediate danger if it struck. The alien trembled slightly, backing toward Elias and making urgent sounds. Elias knelt beside it, trying to calm it without losing focus. He realized that the alien understood the danger instinctively. Its species had likely survived on this planet for millennia, and it could sense the threat in ways humans could not. He had to act quickly. "Listen," Elias said firmly, though the alien could not understand words fully. He pulled out a small device, a holographic map of Viridia, and pointed to the projected impact site. Then he pointed to the alien, then to himself, indicating a plan. They had to work together to save as much as possible. The alien tilted its head slowly, then nodded in understanding, a flicker of determination replacing its usual shyness. Elias knew that evacuating the valley would not be enough. The asteroid was too large, and Viridia's orbital defenses were primitive. If they were to survive, they needed to use ingenuity, science, and the alien's unique abilities. He glanced at the crystal flower and shard. They had already demonstrated a subtle energy resonance. If that energy could somehow be amplified, perhaps it could provide a temporary protective shield over the valley, or at least warn the rest of the planet's inhabitants of the impending impact. He moved quickly, instructing the alien through gestures. He pointed to the flower, then to the shard, then traced a circle in the dirt, showing that they had to combine their energies. The alien's ears twitched nervously, but it began the ritual, moving with precision as though every step mattered. Elias joined in, careful to mirror the gestures exactly, while speaking softly to keep the alien calm. The crystal flower and shard began to hum more strongly, sending waves of faint light rippling across the clearing. Elias adjusted the position of the shard, aligning it with the energy of the flower. The alien reached forward, placing its hands over the flower and shard simultaneously, closing its eyes in concentration. Elias did the same, feeling the faint vibration travel through his palms. Time was short. The asteroid loomed closer, visible now as a massive, jagged shadow in the sky. Elias' heart pounded. He realized that the alien's energy, combined with his own careful manipulation, might give them a few precious minutes, a chance to warn the rest of the valley and buy time for evacuation. The alien made a sharp trill and moved in a specific pattern around the circle, tapping the flower at precise intervals. Elias followed instinctively. The energy pulsed brighter, forming a faint protective barrier that shimmered in the sunlight. It wasn't enough to stop the asteroid completely, but it created a momentary shield that deflected smaller debris and slowed the larger fragments. Elias could see the relief in the alien's eyes, though fear was still present. He patted its delicate hands gently. "We're doing this together," he said. The alien's eyes met his, wide and trusting, and in that moment, Elias felt the depth of their bond more strongly than ever. It wasn't just about survival, it was about cooperation, trust, and shared determination. Using the brief reprieve, Elias grabbed his communicator and sent a signal to the human settlement several kilometers away. "Asteroid incoming. Evacuate the valley. Use the energy nodes. Repeat, use the energy nodes." He hoped they understood. Viridia's orbital sensors were primitive, but the humans had brought portable energy amplifiers. If they could synchronize with the crystal flower's resonance, there might be a chance to save the valley. The alien continued its ritual, moving precisely, guiding the energy with delicate touches. Elias followed, adjusting angles and timing as best he could. He could feel the energy building, a faint warmth that spread across the clearing. Small trees and plants nearby shivered as if recognizing the power. The alien glanced at him briefly, then returned to the task, unafraid to trust him with something so vital. Minutes felt like hours. The asteroid approached, larger than anything Elias had ever faced. Yet he refused to panic. Humans had survived worse, and he would not fail, not here, not when this alien had shown such courage. He focused on the energy, on the rhythm of the ritual, on every subtle movement of the alien's hands. Suddenly, a loud vibration shook the ground. Small fragments of debris had broken off from the asteroid, striking the edges of the valley. Elias and the alien held firm. The energy barrier shimmered more brightly, deflecting the fragments and protecting the clearing. The alien's body trembled with the effort, ears flicking rapidly. Elias knew it was exhausting, but it continued, trusting him to maintain the rhythm. Elias adjusted the shard and flower once more, aligning the vibrations perfectly. He felt a surge of energy, a pulse that ran through both of them, and for a brief moment the asteroid's shadow seemed to halt, suspended in the sky as though time itself had paused. The alien let out a soft trill of relief. Elias mirrored it, speaking softly. "Almost there. We can do this." Then the asteroid resumed its descent, but the amplified energy from the ritual deflected the larger fragments, sending them off course. Elias watched as the debris scattered harmlessly across the valley, sparing the forest, the clearing, and the human settlement. The alien's eyes sparkled with awe and trust as the danger passed. When the ground finally stilled, Elias exhaled deeply. He knelt beside the alien, gently touching its hands. "You were incredible," he said. "Your courage, your ritual, it saved lives." The alien blinked, ears twitching, and let out a soft, almost musical sound. Elias understood it as acknowledgement, gratitude, and something deeper, a recognition that they had faced danger together and succeeded. He looked around the valley. Trees swayed gently, untouched. The humans from the settlement were emerging cautiously, checking for damage, and many glanced at the clearing in awe. Elias knew that they had witnessed something extraordinary, not just the asteroid's deflection, but the power of cooperation, trust, and understanding between species. The alien stepped forward and placed its hands on the crystal flower once more, this time with no hesitation. Elias mirrored the gesture, feeling the gentle hum of energy flow through both of them. He realized that their bond had deepened immeasurably. It was no longer simply curiosity or communication. It was mutual respect, courage, and friendship forged under pressure. As the twin suns began to set, casting golden light across the valley, Elias felt a surge of hope. Humanity had faced challenges before and survived through ingenuity, patience, and cooperation. Here, on Viridia, they had demonstrated the same strengths, bridging the gap between species to avert disaster. The alien curled near the crystal flower, eyes half closed, breathing steadily for the first time since the asteroid had appeared. Elias knelt beside it, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the scattered shards of energy, the vibrant forest, and the small group of humans nearby. Everything had survived. Tonight he thought they would rest. Tomorrow there would be more to learn, more rituals to understand, and perhaps more challenges to face. But for now, the valley was safe. And in the quiet hum of the crystal flower, Elias felt the true power of what humanity could accomplish: courage, understanding, and the ability to connect across worlds. He reached out and touched the alien's hand lightly. It responded immediately, a soft trill escaping its lips. Elias smiled. "We did it together," he said. The alien blinked slowly, ears flicking, and nestled closer. Above them, the twin moons rose, bathing the valley in silver light. The forest seemed to shimmer in response, alive with energy and calm. Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The alien had taught him the value of patience, trust, and courage. Humanity had shown its ingenuity, compassion, and strength. Together, they had faced a threat that could have destroyed everything. And tomorrow, they would continue learning from each other, facing challenges side by side, building a bond that no asteroid, no misunderstanding, and no distance in the galaxy could break. The morning sun rose slowly over Viridia, spilling golden light across the valley. "Doctor." Elias Corin stretched and exhaled, feeling the calm after yesterday's storm. The asteroid had passed, the valley was safe, and the humans in the nearby settlement were checking their equipment, amazed at what had just happened. Yet for Elias, the real victory was something quieter, something far more personal. The alien emerged from the forest edge as it had every morning. Today, however, it moved with a purpose. Its ears flicked in excitement, eyes wide and bright, and its hands held the crystal flower firmly. Elias could see that it wanted to show him something. He knelt gently, letting the alien approach, and watched as it placed the flower carefully on the ground. Then, with a series of soft trills, it gestured toward him. Elias understood immediately. The alien was inviting him to participate in a new ritual, a ceremony of bond confirmation, something deeper than their previous communication. It was the culmination of days of trust, patience, and learning. He smiled, feeling a sense of honor and anticipation. They began together, moving in the quiet rhythm of the alien's custom. The crystal flower and the shard pulsed with gentle light, resonating with each touch and gesture. Elias followed carefully, mirroring every movement and sound. The alien's shyness was gone. In its place was focus, courage, and an unmistakable desire to connect fully. As they completed the first cycle of the ritual, Elias noticed something remarkable. The surrounding forest responded. Leaves shimmered, the air vibrated subtly, and the small creatures that had returned to the valley earlier paused to watch. It was as though the ritual had awakened something in the environment, a harmony between life, energy, and trust. The alien species had evolved with the land, and the connection they now shared extended beyond just the two of them. Elias leaned closer, speaking softly as he traced patterns in the dirt that mirrored the alien symbols. He could feel the energy of the crystal flower pulsing under his fingertips, and the alien followed with equal care. Together, they created a circle that combined both species' gestures and intentions, a bridge between worlds. Hours passed in quiet, careful focus. The alien moved confidently around the circle, sometimes pausing to look at Elias with a questioning glance. He responded with smiles, soft words, and mirrored gestures, reinforcing their mutual understanding. The valley seemed to hold its breath, the forest watching silently as the bond strengthened. By midday, the ceremony reached its peak. The crystal flower and shard glowed brightly, sending pulses of energy through the clearing. Elias felt warmth spreading through him, a hum of vitality and connection. The alien's hands trembled slightly, but only from the intensity of the moment, not from fear. He placed his hands over the alien's, guiding the energy carefully, and they both let the rhythm of the ritual take over. Suddenly, a distant sound interrupted the quiet, a low, vibrating hum coming from the horizon. Elias turned and saw that the humans had begun amplifying their own devices, responding to the energy field the alien had helped him create. The resonance extended further into the valley, touching other crystal flowers scattered throughout the area and reinforcing the bond. Elias' heart swelled with pride. Humanity had brought technology, ingenuity, and adaptability. The alien had brought knowledge, instinct, and the power of its species, rituals. Together, they had created something far greater than the sum of its parts, a connection that could protect, heal, and inspire. The alien looked up at him, ears flicking gently, eyes shining. Elias understood the message clearly: gratitude, respect, and a deep, unspoken affection. He smiled and nodded. "We did this together. You trusted me and I trusted you. That's the strongest bond of all." With the final gestures, the ritual concluded. The crystal flower and shard pulsed one last time before settling into a calm, steady glow. Elias rose slowly, brushing dirt from his hands, and watched as the alien mirrored him, standing tall and proud for the first time since they had met. The valley seemed to exhale. Small creatures resumed their activities, the forest's glow softened, and a gentle breeze carried the subtle vibrations of life across the land. Elias realized that this was more than a personal victory. It was a moment of first contact realized, a successful bridge between human and alien culture that could serve as a model for the rest of the galaxy. Humans from the nearby settlement approached cautiously, marveling at the scene. Elias explained through gestures and words what they had accomplished together. The alien watched them, calm and confident, no longer shy, no longer afraid. The humans nodded in understanding, recognizing the significance of the bond and the power of patience, empathy, and mutual respect. By evening, Elias and the alien sat together near the crystal flower, watching the twin moons rise over the valley. The air was calm, filled with quiet energy. Elias felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had come to Viridia to learn, to study, and perhaps to make peaceful contact. Instead, he had found something far more extraordinary: a partner, a teacher, and a friend who had shown him the true power of trust and courage. The alien shifted closer, touching the crystal flower gently, then looking at Elias with eyes full of emotion. He reached out and held its hands, feeling the faint pulse of energy beneath their fingertips. It was a connection beyond words, beyond gestures, a bond that both understood fully. "You've taught me so much," Elias whispered softly, "about patience, about trust, and about bravery. And I hope I've shown you that humans are capable of the same." The alien blinked slowly, ears flicking, and let out a soft trill that resonated like agreement. Elias smiled, feeling a sense of completion. They had faced uncertainty, danger, and fear together, and they had prevailed. Not because of weapons or force, but because of understanding, communication, and the willingness to trust one another. The days that followed were filled with exploration and learning. The alien guided Elias through the forest, showing him hidden groves, rare plants, and ancient symbols etched into the rocks by its ancestors. Elias shared human knowledge, basic physics, simple technology, and strategies for protecting the valley in the future. Together, they created a system that combined human ingenuity with Viridian instinct, ensuring that the valley remained safe from threats like the asteroid that had nearly struck it. Word of their success spread to other human explorers and scientists who had arrived on Viridia. They marveled at the partnership between human and alien, understanding that this bond was unique, built on trust, patience, and shared courage. The shy alien had grown confident, respected, and proud, while humanity had demonstrated its greatest strengths: adaptability, ingenuity, and empathy. One evening, as the sun set and the valley glowed in amber and violet, Elias and the alien sat quietly near the crystal flower. He reflected on the journey they had taken, from first shyness and uncertainty to full trust and cooperation. The alien had shown him that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Humanity had shown that knowledge, patience, and empathy could bridge any gap, even one between entirely different species. The alien nudged Elias' hand gently, offering another crystal shard. He took it with care, understanding the gesture. It was not just a gift, it was a symbol of enduring trust, a promise that their bond would last beyond this day, beyond this valley, beyond even their own lifetimes. Elias smiled. "I promise we'll keep learning together," he said. The alien blinked slowly and rested its hands over his once more, confirming the understanding. Above them, the twin moons reflected on the crystal flower, casting soft silver light across the clearing. The forest shimmered faintly, alive with quiet energy, as if acknowledging the harmony that had been created. For the first time, Elias felt that humanity was not merely surviving in the galaxy, it was thriving, capable of forming bonds that could change worlds. The alien rested its head slightly against his shoulder, and Elias wrapped an arm gently around its small frame. It was a gesture of trust and mutual respect, and in that moment, words were unnecessary. They had faced fear, uncertainty, and danger together, and emerged stronger for it. As night fell fully, Elias looked up at the stars and reflected on the journey ahead. There would be more challenges, more discoveries, and more opportunities to prove humanity's ingenuity and courage. But now he knew something vital. The true strength of humans lay not in weapons, not in machines, but in their ability to understand, to empathize, and to connect with even the shyest, most hesitant beings across the galaxy. The valley was safe, the alien was confident, and Elias felt a profound sense of accomplishment. They had formed a bond that would endure, a bridge between species built on patience, trust, and shared courage. Humanity had proven itself worthy not just of survival, but of friendship and respect in a universe that was vast, unknown, and full of possibilities. And as the night deepened, the valley alive with the quiet glow of the crystal flower and the soft hum of life, Elias realized something extraordinary. The shy alien who had once been too embarrassed to reach out had not only taught him about her species, but had also shown him the best of humanity. Courage, patience, ingenuity, and empathy. These were the tools that could shape the galaxy, one bond at a time. He reached out, touched the crystal flower, and smiled at the alien beside him. Together, they had achieved something remarkable. Together, they had proven that even in the farthest corners of space, connection, understanding, and trust could change the course of worlds. And for the first time since arriving on Viridia, Elias felt certain that humanity was exactly where it belonged, not only exploring the stars, but forming bonds strong enough to last across time and space.